Welcome back to another installment of 31 Days of Horror. I'm your host, Stephen Bloodworth, filmmaker and indie film critic. Thank you so much for coming by. The haunted house subgenre of horror has been used since the early days of movies. From silent films to black and white, all the way up to House from 1985. House takes a different approach to the subgenre and executes it amazingly. The film starts off with a delivery boy going into the home of one of his customers, only to discover that his customer has committed suicide by hanging herself. At the funeral, we meet the woman's nephew, Roger. Roger is an author known for publishing horror stories and is now working on something totally different. Roger decides to take a break from writing horror to writing about his real-life story fighting in the Vietnam War. As for the character Roger, he is a pretty sad man going through a divorce and his only child disappearing out of nowhere. When a real estate agent shows Roger his aunt's home wanting to sell it, Roger decides to stay in the house and write his new story there. From the moment Roger steps into that house, strange things begin to happen, and strange, god-awful creatures start appearing and terrorizing him. He befriends his next-door neighbor, Harold, who in the beginning is a big fan of Roger's, but after getting to know the guy, he realizes that he is just batshit crazy. Ultimately, Roger believes that the house is haunted, and he even believes that it is the reason why his son has disappeared. This is a film that shows how amazing 1980s practical effects are and how much they still hold up to this day. Every creature in this film is different from one another, and they're all downright disgusting and disturbing in their own awesome ways. I'm not going to give away the ending, but I will say that Roger eventually convinces Harold to help him stop the terror going on in the house. House is an excellent 80s horror film that is meant to be both scary and funny, and 3 sequels were made to capitalize on the success of the first film. For anybody looking for a twist on the haunted house subgenre or just wants to see something entirely different, then House is a film that I cannot recommend enough.